Hi guys, it's Mrs. Millison. Okay, today we're going to talk about using loops to go through strings and create little algorithms, okay? Create little processes to do on our strings, okay? So I went ahead and created our class file, called it string loop algorithms, made our main method. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a string, I'm just going to do my name, and I want to print each character of the string on a different line, okay? So I'm going to create my string, I'm just going to call it name, and I'll put my name. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to go through and grab each individual letter of the string. Okay, now remember to do that, we have to use our indexes. So let's label our indexes here. So the first letter is always index 0, and then it goes up from there. Okay, so my indexes for my word, Barbara, go from 0 to 6. The length of my string is 7, okay, because there are 7 characters. So I'm going to use that information to build my loop. Okay, so what I want to do is I basically just want to print B first, okay? So basically what I'm doing is, my indent is driving me nuts. Okay, I want to, let me do this. I want to do name substring. I want the first index. I want 0. I want 0 to 1, because then it'll print me the first character. And then 1 to 2, which will print me the second character. And then 2 to 3, which will print me the third character, and so forth. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to start my for loop at an index of 0, because that'll give me my first letter. Okay, so I want to go from index to index plus 1. So that will print me, in this case, with index is 0, it'll print my first letter. And then when this changes to 1, this will go from 1 to 2 and print me my second letter, and so forth. Okay, so now how far do we have to go? Index, as long as index is less than the length, will run. Okay, so I'll do name length. Okay, and then of course, I need my index to increase every single time. Okay, so if index is 0, it'll keep going 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it'll stop because 6 is less than 7. Okay, and then for every index, so if index starts 0, I'm going to print 0 to 1, substring 0 to 1, which is the first character, and then 1, when this goes up to 1, 1 to 2, which is the second character, and so forth. Okay, all right, I need to put this in a print statement, or nothing's going to happen. I'm going to do print len, so it does it every single line. Of course, I probably need a double parentheses here, because I always forget that. Let me close. The indentation's driving me nuts. All right. No errors. I usually miss a colon or something, or a semicolon or something. All right, let's run this. Okay, so see how it grabbed index substring 0 to 1 and gave me my first letter. And then index went up to 1. And then it did 1 to 2, which gave me my second letter, and so forth, all the way down to the end. Okay, because I stopped it as soon as the index was less, as soon as the index equaled the length, it stopped, because I don't have that equal in here. Okay, so I'm using the length to stop my loop. All right, now let's do this. If we think about this from the opposite endpoint, if I wanted to print letters of my name from A to B, I would just have to start at the length, probably the length minus 1 for the index, and then I would decrease my index every single time. So length minus 1 would get me 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So as long as index is greater than or equal to 0, it would have run. Okay, so we're going to use that thought process to take a string and print out the string completely backwards. Okay, so let's do a different string. I don't know, word. Let's do Thanksgiving. That's coming up. Okay, now let's do the same process. Let me think about, I'm going to mark my 8, 9, and then we have 10 and 11, and the length is 12, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, okay. Just I always like to get an idea of my index numbers. Okay, so we're going to use that same concept. This time I'm going to start at the length. Okay, so index is going to equal word dot length -1. So now I'm going to start with the 11th letter, or the 11th index, which is the 12th letter. No, it's not. Yes, the 11th index is the 12th letter. And then as long as index is, what do we say, greater than or equal to 0, okay? Oops, change that to a semicolon. And then, of course, we have to decrease index every single time. So it's going to start at index 11, and it's going to go down to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, all the way down to 0. Okay, and it's going to print each word or print each letter. Now, for this, I want to do more than just print each individual letter. I want to build a new word. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my new word outside the string, or excuse me, outside the loop, and I'm going to build it inside the loop. Okay, so I'm going to build it the same way here. I'm going to take my substring. Okay, so here I'm going to take word substring. I'm going to do index plus 1. Because again, if I think about that, my first index is 11. So substring 11 to 12 will give me the G. And then substring 10 to 11 will give me the N. Substring 9 to 10 will give me the I, and so forth. But what I need to do with this, I need to add it onto my new word so it builds a new word. So I'll do new word plus equals. Okay, so now I'm taking the blank, and the first thing I'm adding to it is the G. And then new word now is a G. And then when it runs the loop again, it goes down an index, it'll add the N to the G. Okay, and then it'll add the I to the G and the N, and so forth. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to print my new word outside the loop after it's finished running and it's been built. Okay, all right, let's see if I made any. Oh, trust me, guys, I always make syntax errors. I'm lucky. I'm getting lucky right now. Okay, so let's see how this one runs. Okay, here we go. So it started with the G, and then it added the N, and then it added the I, and it just went through and added each letter from the end to the beginning. And I created a new word, which is Thanksgiving spelled backwards. Okay, it's the same concept, but this one I went from the first index of 0 to the length -1, and here I went from the length -1 back to 0. And here I just printed out each individual character. Here I created a new string by adding on each individual character as the loop ran. Okay, so it depends, again, it depends on what you want from your output. All right, do some others. Now let's do, so these were both, the ones above were for loops. Let's do a while loop to replace text in a phrase. Okay, so I'm going to take a phrase. I'll do the Three Musketeers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the word three with the word two. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to create strings of the word three and strings of the word two so that I can use those variables in my loop. That way, if I ever want to create a method out of it, I just need to replace the variable names with the parameters from the method. Okay, I don't have to go back into the loop code. Okay, remove, we'll call this remove. We'll call this add. I know there's not two musketeers, but whatever. All right. All right, so let's do this. So while what? Okay. So as long as this phrase, as long as remove exists in phrase, then I want my loop to run. So what can I use to see if the word three is in musketeers? Well, I'm going to use index of. So as long as there's an index of three in this phrase, then I want to replace it with the word two. So remember, index of gives you back a integer. Oh, I'm going to do remove, of course. Okay, so as long as three exists, so as long as that index is greater than what? Let's see. Index gives you back the index of the character. So three would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it could be, index of can be anywhere from 0 to length -1. So if I say as long as it's greater than 0, I should be I should say greater than -1, because it can also be equal to 0. Okay, so as long as the index of this remove string is greater than -1, it's still existing in the phrase. That's how I want my while loop to know when to keep going. Okay, so of course I have to do phrase dot index of. Okay, so I'm going to put that in parentheses. Okay, so as long as that is occurring, my loop should run. All right, so what's it going to do while it's running? Okay, it's going to take the word phrase. Okay, it's going to replace the 3, which is basically the substring of wherever that index was. Then it's going to replace it with 2. Okay, so let's think about that. I want to take my phrase substring. Okay, I want the beginning part. So I want from 0 to what do I want? I want basically from 0 to the index of remove. So I want 0, 1, 2, 3 to 4, not including 4, because remember, this is going to give me an index of 4. Okay, index equals 4 here to get where the 3 starts. So I want that whole thing. Okay, so I want that index number. Oops. Okay, so this will give me substring from 0 to 4. So that's the first 3 characters, right? Or first 4 characters, 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to add in the word I want to add. Okay, so this will give me the with a space. This will give me the word to. And then I want to continue from this point on to the end of my string. Okay, so I'm going to have to do another substring. I think I want to add basically the length of the index plus the length of the word I'm adding, right? Because then that will get me, or the length of the word I remove, because that will get me from this space. So I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I want 10 and on. Okay. So if I take, let's see, I want that index of 4. So I want, let's see, phrase dot index of, let's see, 3, where am I, of remove, and I want to add to it, um, the length of what I removed. Okay, you got, hopefully everybody's following. Let's run it and see if it works, and we'll talk through it. Okay, so of course, what am I printing here? I'm going to replace the word phrase with this new phrase. Okay, I don't want to build up another one, because if 3 exists somewhere else, I want the loop to keep working. Now it's only going to work once because 3 only exists once. Okay, but after it replaces it once, I want to replace the phrase with the new phrase. Okay, I want to replace it, not add on to it. And then I want while loop to look for that removal phrase one more time, or keep looking for it until I know it's gone from everywhere. And we can modify the phrase too, so we can see it work. All right, let's see. Oh, and then of course, let's print out the phrase at the end, and let's see how this is working. Okay, let's see how it works and if we need to, oops, need to modify. Okay, okay, it worked. The 2 musketeers. Okay, so again, I'm printing from the 0 to the index, so that'll be from here to here. Okay, then I'm putting in the word to, and then I'm printing from here on. So that's why I had to take the index and then add the word that I was removing. Okay, so it got me to the correct index number that I needed to get to the rest of the phrase. Okay, let's just add some more here. Let's do the three musketeers, the three puppies. I just want you to see how the loop will go back into the word phrase and look for another occurrence of 3. Okay. Okay, so now it's the 2 musketeers and the 2 puppies. Okay, so the way I have it set up, it'll keep looking at that phrase after I replace it. After I replace the first 3 with 2, it'll look at the phrase again and look for another occurrence of 3. And then after I replace the second occurrence of 3, it'll go through and look at the phrase again, and there is no 3. That's why the index would equal -1. Then it's done, because -1 isn't greater than -1. Okay. All right, we can do the same type of thing, replacing a single letter as well. Okay. I want to clean this up. This is very wordy here. Okay. So I'm going to create some variables for all my indexes. Okay. Some space. Okay. So now we're going to do another while loop. Replace a single. Okay. So we're going to start with our phrase, Sally sells seashells by the seashore. And I am lowercasing Sally because I'm just going to deal with lowercase s. Okay. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to replace every S with a B. I don't know. Why B? Who knows? Okay. So I'm going to do a couple different things here. I'm going to create my counter outside. Okay. I'm going to create my counter outside. And I'm going to create my variable for my index inside. Okay, so while let's see, c.index of letter S. Okay, again, while that is greater than -1, so again, as long as S is in the phrase, the loop is going to keep running. Okay, as soon as it looks for an S and there's no more S's, it's replaced them all, the loop will stop. Okay, so now I'm gonna assign J to be that index. Okay, that way I can use J throughout my loop and not have to write out that text every single time. Okay, so now kind of the same process here. So now the phrase seashells or C is just going to be C substring. And again, I'm going to go from 0 to J. Okay, so I'm just trying to streamline so I don't have to put all this in here every single time. I'm going to go from 0 to J, and I'm going to add what I wanted to replace. Oh, I want to replace it with a B. Okay, I didn't create a variable for that. And then, of course, I want to go from that point. So if I create this, change it to the B, I want to go to the next index all the way to the end. Okay. So I'm just going to go, since I only did one letter, I don't have to add the length of the thing I'm removing, or excuse me, the thing that I removed, because actually I am, but the length is simply a single letter. I can just do J plus 1. Okay. This is a little cleaner. Okay. It's not as many things to deal with. And creating that variable outside saved me from having to retype it over and over again. Not that there was anything wrong with this. Okay. I think that's everything, right? Because I don't, yeah, and then it'll go through the loop again. And then, of course, at the end, let's print out C again. Okay, let's see how this works. Okay, there we go. So Sally sells seashells by the seashore. All the S's were replaced with B's. Okay, so these two are very similar. Okay, but this one replaced a whole string of text, and we had to figure out the index number to finish the phrase. And here it was just a single letter, so we knew we just had to increase the index by 1. So these are they're practically the same thing. Okay. All right. Last thing I want to do after these examples, turns one of these into a method. Okay, because again, I want you guys practicing writing methods. So I think I'm going to use this one. I'm going to turn this into a method. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this. We're going to turn it into a method. So I'm going to come outside of my main method, but still in my class file. I'm just going to copy and paste this real quick. Obviously, when I run this method, let's give it a name before we start thinking about everything. So public static. I think I want it to be a string method. I want it to yield a string, and we're going to call this reverse word. Okay, so of course I'm going to need a parameter. Okay, so my parameter, this is my parameter. This will go in my method when I run it. So when I run it up here, reverse word, that's the parameter. Okay, so that's what I'm going to put in for word Thanksgiving. Oops, get my space. Okay, so let me get rid of all this stuff. So I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to change much here. I am going to create a new word, which is now blank. Oh, and actually this is all set up because my parameters variable name is word. So I'm going to take length of word, whatever it is, and then go through the loop, and it's going to create the new word. So the only thing I have to do is first let end the method, and I just have to change the system printout to a return statement. I'm going to get rid of those parentheses. Okay, so this should work just fine. Okay, we'll do Thanksgiving, but then we'll do another word. Okay, so now here's my method. So let's do let's compile, make sure I didn't get anything wrong. Okay, good. I didn't miss any semicolons or periods or anything. So let's run the method with Thanksgiving, and then we'll do some other words. Okay, so I'll print that first, but then let's also do some other words. Oops. Oops. Come on. Now that I have this method run, I can reverse a whole bunch of words if I want. I'll put my name. Let's do, I don't know. It's windy out today. Windy day. And I'm trying to think of another word. Programming. Not very imaginative, but whatever. Okay, so this is my reverse word method is gonna run 4 times at the end, and it should be all the words spelled out backwards. Here we go. There's my Thanksgiving for my method, my name, my windy day, my windy day, and my programming. Okay, so it's kind of nice when you build this method because then you can do a whole bunch of stuff with it, not sit there and rewrite the code. Okay, so I wanted you, or to duplicate the code rather. So again, I just wanted to practice doing some methods. Okay, but here are again some are examples of our string loop algorithms, and I hope this was helpful. Okay, guys, I'll see you next time.